Hi, my name is Lindsey Asis. I'm the Program Coordinator with the AI for Good Foundation, and I am here with Eller Everett from Both of Us. How are you today?
I'm really good. Thank you. Thanks for having me. How are you?
Great, thanks for asking.
Okay.
So, just to get us started, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you became involved with AI for Good?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, as you said, I'm Ella. I'm the co-founder of Both of Us. Both of Us is a tech for good company. So we use technology through apps, websites, and everything like this, and design to accelerate the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, and social impact. Um, so this is really how I came about it, because I was looking at kind of networks, at communities, to see what's really out there that have this strong focus on using on tech for good, really. And we have a couple of AI projects as well. And I think, especially at the moment, there seems to be a lot of momentum there, and I think it's really nice to actually see what's going on. To see the good projects that and the amazing companies that are using AI in a really positive way. So
That's
yeah, this
amazing.
is how I found it.
Yeah, that sounds very akin to the interest that we have, especially with the UN SDGs. That's something that we orient ourselves as an organization around. And so, can you tell us about how both of us kind of orients itself in that way as well?
Yeah, so basically we just ensure that all of our projects and all of our work is aligned with the SDGs in some way or other. So whether it being education, human rights, climate change, it has to be linked to one of the 17 SDGs. There's two different sides to what we do. So one of them is creating internal projects. So for example, I mentioned before the AI project. We created an AI project that is to measure air contamination in a city, in a building, so that it's visible. Because we found that actually when it's visible, it's actionable. So it means that city planners, so that companies, everything like this can actually take action on trying to improve the air quality. Um, and then we'll create projects that are for kind of to try and cut down on plastic, specifically single-use plastic, and then anything from we created a job platform specifically for people with learning disabilities and stuff like this. So super broad mix of projects that we're doing. And then we also work with social impact companies and sustainable companies. So what we've noticed is a lot of people that are working towards the SDGs, they're doing amazing work, but it may be that it's not being communicated properly in the right way, because it may be they don't have these kind of tech skills, or they don't have access to high quality technology, because it's often very, very expensive and things like this. So this is kind of how we want to offer our services, and then empower other social impact companies and entrepreneurs to really scale their impact and communicate this impact to stakeholders and clients as well, of course.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think one of the really great things about UN SDGs to me is like how far reaching they can be in the way that they can interact with one another. And I think what the work you're doing really speaks to that and is really a value in that regard. So separately from both of us, I saw that you received a postgrad in circular economies. Can you tell your listeners what a circular economy is and their role in achieving sustainable development?
Sure, yeah. So circular economy is really it's an alternative economy, looking at the environment and business. So looking at, okay, how can we do our activities? How can we create things, and trying to reduce the impact, the negative impact on the environment. So things like, okay, using recycled materials through in design, in product design. And actually one of the key things is keeping materials, products, everything like this in use for longer. Because at the moment we're living in such a linear economy, which means that we extract things from the earth, we create them, we make a product, we use it, and then we throw it away. Often when it's still very, very valuable, when it still works quite a lot of the time, and it's still got a lot of potential, in this product or in this material. So the idea is, okay, how can we create products that are better quality, that last for a long time, and that don't end up in the landfill, but actually they stay within the society. So it reduces the it reduces the amount of material extraction, and it also reduces the negative environmental effects for disposal as well. So it's a lot focused on this kind of the business side of kind of products and stuff like this. But of course, it's also so talking about, okay, how are we working with the local community? How are we working with kind of a sharing economy? So even just things like a charity shop, for example, if you don't want your clothes anymore, how can you create this society where products are still being in use? So this is kind of briefly what the circular economy is. The role in achieving sustainable development is obviously, it's very aligned with sustainability, with the environmental side and with reducing the negative environmental impact, and also the economic side. So I will always look at sustainable development on the 3 pillars. So on the social side, the environmental side, and the economic side. So the environmental side and the economic side, it's super aligned with both of these. And then there's been quite a lot of studies as well into the circular economy and how it's related specifically to the SDGs. And it's got really, really strong ties to all of the SDGs that are linked to the environment and linked to, to the economy, like sustainable cities and things like this. The only thing is that it doesn't have such a strong link with the social side. So like no poverty, zero hunger, stuff like this. Although there is a lot of potential, because obviously they're also interlinked. But this is kind of where it needs to focus a little bit at the moment. So, and this is actually, I'm going to be doing a PhD in this, so focusing on the social side. Because there is a lot of potential, but at the moment it's slightly missing that social side. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that is explained absolutely perfectly, and it sounds so idyllic. I think you've kind of hit on what might be a limitation at the moment with circular economies, being that there is no built-in or, by the design of circular economies, social infrastructure. So how do you envision overcoming this? I know this is probably a little early with your PhD, but what are your ideas for the movement?
So I really think it's about, and I would say this about the circular economy, it's brilliant as it is, and it's got such a lot of momentum, but it's not completely holistic. So with a lot of the work that I'm doing, I'm actually bringing lots of different concepts together. So the circular economy, obviously for the economical side and for the sustainability side, but then also looking at how can we connect this and integrate this with the donut economy, which has a strong focus on the social side as well as the environmental side, and then bringing in permaculture as well, which then again focuses on the social side and the environmental side, and kind of how can we actually bring these concepts together to create a really, really strong sustainable development framework, but using all of them. So this is kind of what I think we need to do, because there's so many frameworks out there that are doing amazing things, but they all complement each other. So I think it's about how can we bring them all together rather than just selecting a specific framework, if this makes sense.
That makes perfect sense. And just really quickly, if you could explain to our listeners what a donut economy is and how it differentiates from a circular economy.
Yeah, sure. So the donut economy is a bit more of a new concept, and it's so cool. So basically the idea is that we have a donut, so inside the donut, if we go inside the donut, it means that we're not meeting the needs of the people. So, and it's all of this was built around the SDGs. If we go out of the donut, then we are living kind of out of the planetary boundaries. So we're creating too much of a negative effect on the environment. So the idea of the donut is we need to stay within this donut. Okay. And the aim, I suppose, is to create like a thriving place for thriving people that also respects the environment and the society of the rest of the world. So it's really bringing together the kind of the local and the global side, and also the social and the environmental side. So, but then again, it doesn't speak so much about the economic side or the business side. So this is where I think it pairs really, really nicely with the circular economy.
That makes perfect sense. Thank you so much for explaining that for us. Do you have any final thoughts that you'd like to share with the AI for Good Foundation community and supporters?
Oh, it's super interesting. Great question. So, I mean, my main thing is yeah, because AI has so much potential, and technology has so much potential, and I think everyone working in this field knows that actually there's a slight reputation, on the use of AI and stuff like this. But I think people working with AI for good and really showing the positive impact of using AI in the right way. It's using this that we can really accelerate the SDGs even more. So I would just kind of basically say, keep doing what you're doing, because I think this is the way that we can really change the conversation about technology and change the conversation about AI, and show that actually it can be used as a force for good when it's used in the right way and for the right reasons. So.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that's definitely an honor coming from you. We'll try to keep doing what we're doing. So thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today.
Not at all. Thanks for having me.
Of course.